Welcome everyone. How we doing tonight? What's new? What's happening? Watch buzzing me. The show's supposed to start. Which you guys can have reminders too if you join my Google Calendar. Hey, easy plug. Link you can find down in the About section. Anyways, we're going to be butchering a chicken today. To go along with everything else, tonight is canned green beans as an ingredient challenge. Not the hardest challenge when it comes to the savory end of things. I had to do a lot of thinking when it came to how to do this for dessert. I honestly couldn't even find anything other than a cookie recipe. There's tons of recipes out there for mung beans, which is a Chinese ingredient, which it's their version of green beans. Completely different ingredient here in the US, even though they're still beans and they're still green. Mung beans have a different flavor than these. These are much greener, much more you're eating spring. To me, green beans are spring as far as flavors. And so dessert was a bit of a challenge for this week. I'm going to be doing a green bean ice cream, which I'm going to get to right after I get the chicken in the immersion circulator. And I'm going to put that with crumbled bacon and Parmesan. I'm also going to use some buttermilk powder in that ice cream because I'm going to shoot for... I made a cherry and buttermilk ice cream like around this time last year, sort of a thing. It was probably like May, June, early summer, late spring when we get cherries. Anyways, it came out great. It had the buttermilk just basically turned it into like cheesecake ice cream. So that was beautiful. I'm going to try and do the same thing using buttermilk powder instead of buttermilk this time. I'm using sort of like a hack version of ice cream tonight. And I'm going to mix that with green beans. Well, we're going to have our no egg ice cream base. I'm going to use condensed milk and whipped cream as our base for our ice cream. I'm going to add in pureed green beans and the buttermilk powder. Gives a sort of tangy, springy ice cream mix. Then I'll pair with bacon and Parmesan. So it's going to be like a savory dessert. It's going to be sweet, but it's going to be savory. We'll see how it turns out. Could be great, could be... yeah. I don't know. But thankfully we got some offal here. We'll save those for our next time we actually need something like that. I've already got the immersion circulator heating up back here. Gonna do 165 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever that translates to Celsius. This runs on Celsius, so I already looked that up. I've already forgotten it. But we need chicken in order to use chicken thighs for dinner tonight. Since I typically buy chicken whole, we gotta butcher a chicken. This is like a whole chicken. The price difference between buying a whole chicken and the pieced out thighs, I mean, it was $1.50 difference per pound between this organic chicken and the same brand bone-in, skin-on thighs. So just to give you an idea, we're saving $1 a pound this way. And I actually use my carcasses. It's not like the skeleton to this is going to waste. It's going to go into stock in the future. It's going to go in the freezer. We'll start with getting our chicken breasts out of the way, which just how I feel like doing it tonight. I, unlike Chinese students, my culinary career did not start out with butchering hundreds of chickens as part of my education. I've probably butchered several hundred, but it's one of the first things that apparently they do in Chinese culinary schools is you're cutting chickens. Lots of them every day. Probably do it for industry, I don't know. But I had an amazing instructor in college who was a Chinese chef, and she was just a marvel to watch break down a chicken. She could break down a living chicken to boiled in like a minute and a half, or in boiling water. Really enjoyed her class. She was a great instructor. Trying to cut into things here, that was a mistake. There's our breast and wing. I'm not going to save the wing. Wow, we've already made ourselves down to this point in the playlist. That was quick. So then I'll take the wings off. Wings I typically put in stock. I had been sort of toying with saving some of them to do something with, but that didn't pan out, and I ended up throwing those in the last batch of stock here. Why, you know. There we go. So we'll save these for, I don't know, maybe Sunday. I've already forgotten what I'm doing the rest of the week here too. Actually, I remember now that I'm doing big scallops here for Big Scallop Day on Friday. But I've already forgotten what I'm doing on Sunday. But I was remembering that could do chicken for that. So we'll probably do chicken for that on Sunday. Whatever those plans are. You guys can find out by checking out the little counter timer below. Or joining the Google Calendar. Pop that hip joint out, come back here, get that nice little fat oyster. still attached. Repeat the process over here. This bird was not entirely, well, I didn't defrost it. Usually when I try to refrost stuff for stream, it's still half frozen, but this also is not completely defrosted today. A little bit better than I normally do, though. Let's take off this little bit of skin that was on the spine. Quit making noise back there, immersion circulator. You're still... Hey, Suki! How you doing tonight? Welcome in. Doing green beans tonight. Canned green beans. So I'm starting off with portioning some chicken for our dinner tonight. We're going to use the thighs. Get rid of this carcass, throw this in the freezer real quick so we don't have to worry about that. Still got all that chicken stock in my main freezer here. Someone commented that I must have a second freezer to fill all that stock in there. No, it's all in there. That I made earlier this week. Or last week. I will move it into there, but getting anything in or out of that freezer is somewhat of a project these days. The top of my chest freezer has sort of become my quarantine area, where I put things and let them sit for a couple of days until I bring them into the rest of the house. If it's something that I don't need immediately. And there's a couple of plants and stuff on top of it that it's not the end of the world, but I gotta move some stuff around to get in and out of there. So they've stayed in there for now. I'm thinking of leaving the leg bone on, but I'm gonna take this thigh bone out for tonight's dinner. Oh, come on. Why are you slipping on me? Not supposed to slip like that. Economical one? It's costing you too much money to maintain, or? Hopefully you guys can't hear. Hopefully everyone can't hear that noisy immersion circulator making noise. These are silicone bands. These are not rubber bands. These are designed to be able to handle heat. So I'm going to, actually I'm just going to leave it like that. I just want it sort of loosely contained. I'm going to put it in a bag on top of this, but Want to keep that thigh looking somewhat like a thigh once it's done cooking.
Oops.
Uh-oh. My power cord's getting a little flaky. Okay. Well, if those are curious, didn't want to look it up, 165 is roughly 74 degrees Celsius. I think it's something like 73.8 or something like that, and I rounded it up. So same thing here. Sort of roll that back up. A couple of loose bands just to slightly hold things together for while it's cooking in the bag. Yeah, it's a tricky one when it comes to appliances. A lot of them are will save you money compared to your current one, but at the same time, have you really paid the first one off in the first place? Have you gotten its full life out of it? It's especially with the way of environmental standards changing so often. It's probably a hard one to actually properly figure out. Oops. Should have had that on the cutting board there so you saw what I was doing. Clean the cutting board or knife. Get rid of all of our contaminants so you don't get any cross-contamination going on with our chicken to anything that's maybe partially cooked. I went and forgot and left the gizzards in here. Yeah. Oh well. Hey, Nan Reader. I'm gonna try and make ice cream with them. Which is, I'm not trying to replicate the Chinese recipes for green bean ice cream. That's using, as I was saying before, is mung bean. But, yeah. We're gonna try and do some green bean and buttermilk ice cream. Gizzards, yes, the gizzards that came with the chicken. Or gizzards or offal, or probably the neck and the liver. I need something to seal this bag up with. Chicken breast we can put back in the fridge. Hopefully I'll remember to throw them in the freezer if I'm not using them on Sunday, but I think I'm going to use them on Sunday. Oh, we're leaving that over there, just keep the cutting board clean of anything else. But since we're starting with the ice cream, I can go ahead and blend some canned green beans while we're waiting on that pan to fill up with water. Yeah, sliced green beans. Oh, we got a battle ready already too. Nice. So, just loosely drained. Just pulled off what I could get out of the... I was hopeful this was going to be a nice light green color. They're starting off with light green beans, so it's going to be a nice light green ice cream. And I'll do our 90-second ad while I seal up this chicken. Charcoal was actually probably my favorite so far. I mean, it was sort of a cheat of an ingredient because it just turns everything black. It's like adding black food dye to stuff. You don't taste it. It's so neutral. Hey, car guy. Welcome in. Candy corn was a little bit more of a challenge figuring out what to do with dessert. I sort of lucked out with that one doing the candy corn popcorn, which actually was a pretty good hack. Yep, I took candy corn and just essentially melted it on the stove. Low heat, a little bit longer so that it just broke down to a sugary mass. It turned all the same color, turned all that same like neon orange color. And then I just drizzled that over popcorn like you would caramel corn. Gave it a quick toss, keeping you remember that it's stupid hot because it's all sugar. But it did a pretty good job coating popcorn and was sort of along the same lines of adding that chocolate drizzle. It gave that same sort of somewhat creamy but sweet addition to it. Worked pretty well. And so, I mean, next Halloween you want some candy corn? Just melt some candy corn and pour it all over your popcorn. Okay, Stream Raiders. Ooh, they put the countdown sounds back in. That's good. Easy win. Easy win. Victory. Easy victory. I'm getting the kills, Midget with the hit with the assists. Welcome in, Midget Hedgehog, and getting some gold for the assistance. Thank you, thank you. And now the reason we're in the bottom path here, do this loyalty skin chest. If any of you guys are regular players with me, you'll have a greater chance of getting a skin on this map or rare scrolls. We want sort of forces on both of these to beat these enemies to this center point. But beyond that, just put your units on the field. We'll see how we do in 30 minutes. So I'm gonna quick mute myself here and puree up those green beans just by themselves. Okay. So you should be able to hear me again. Hopefully. Yep, we added condensed milk in there, or added it in there because the beans just weren't doing it. They're sort of sitting at perfect space. I don't have the... I should put it on my list of things that I want. But there's a smoothie container that Vitamix makes. Uses all their standard setup. And it's sort of like a size down in size from this. And so I'm using the slightly larger standard, works for everything blender, but it's at the same time it's a bit too big for most of the things that I want to use it, because I got that big boy too. I got that 1.5 gallon one. This is not the first time, the only time we're using this blender tonight though. So that's cool. Need a strainer. Relatively fine mesh strainer. We're going to need 2 bowls for this project. I went and did all this with the chicken and didn't remember to add the things I was going to add to the chicken. I also didn't put it in the immersion circulator, so we got to toy around with chicken a little bit here first. Gotta fill this up with water again. Need a little fat in there. There's probably enough fat in here already from the chicken, but we want good fat. A little mustard. Just a little bit. That was like a teaspoon. We got tarragon. Tarragon's a classic pairing for with peas, or green beans. So we'll do a little tarragon in there with our chicken. A little umami, a little Worcestershire. A little vinegar, apple cider vinegar. That was about a tablespoon. And what else did I want to throw in this? I had a list. I think I want to do some mustard seed too. This is more for making the sauce look pretty than actual flavor. We're going to get most of the flavor out of that little squirt of mustard. So let's reseal this bag again. Oops.
Thank you for that sub, Lexi. Welcome in. How you doing tonight? And so our chicken with butter, little vinegar, tarragon, mustard is going to go into immersion circulator. And we're going to forget about this for about 2 hours. Need a clip. Need a clip. Drop this down into that water and clip it to the top. Snap that down. Close it as much so we don't lose a ton of steam. Yeah, that last one is what we're working on right now. Well, we got the chicken in the immersion circulator, so we're back to working on ice cream. Not going to worry about the little bit of water there. Not going to worry about the little bit of water here. It's always good to get your hand towels wet before you grab them with something hot. That's should have saved that for bad advice. Something they do to new cooks in kitchens. Soak all their hand towels so they have to move faster without burning their hands. Sort of a cruel standard that they live with in kitchens. So we've got our green beans and condensed milk pureed together. Make sure and work this through the screen. I don't know if it's going to be worth the time to get out a ladle instead. I guess we'll just use this. Take an extra moment. Ladles work so much faster for getting things through a screen. They're just the perfect tool for working with. Although I think you can maybe force a little bit more through with a spatula. The ladles are just so much quicker at getting it down to the dry, bare stuff. So I'm going to live with that. Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome in. We're using probably all this again later tonight, so I'm not going to worry about getting it perfectly clean. We just need it rinsed out, ready to reuse. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of canned green beans myself. So this is what I came up with here for dessert. So we got condensed milk and green beans. And here we're gonna whip up a bunch of heavy cream. Yeah, they are, and that's usually my problem with them too. Is they're typically overcooked to the point that they're navy green, or yeah, navy green, because this is going to turn out a light navy green. Or what? Navy green? Why am I calling it navy green? It's navy blue. But army green, or someone told me the name of that the other day, and anyways, they're usually overcooked, and they're usually completely mush. There's usually next to no texture to them left at all. Which is why I don't like them at all either. That's compared to frozen green beans. Probably awesome. I actually don't remember the last time I used those. I use green peas all the time. I have green peas in my freezer all the time. He says that without knowing if he has green peas right now. I have corn. Oh, I think I have peas too. I'm not going to go searching, but there's another bag in there of something. Might have 2 open bags of corn. I like using frozen peas for things like... I'll probably use them on Friday. I like making fried rice using peas. And that diced pea and carrot mix is just like perfect for adding in there, but I don't buy the carrots in there because I sort of view the carrots as... because you're paying a premium for that frozen ingredient. To me, I'd just rather get fresh carrots, which are easy to keep around, easy to have, and relatively cheap. And so I sort of view them as like filler. They didn't want to use a whole thing green beans in their green peas in their mix. Let's add some carrot and make it seem like it's cheaper to you guys, to everyone. He rolls his eyes because he continues to word guys. arm's getting tired. I could have had this recipe, and I sort of am sitting here doubting that I'm going to go through this much ice cream. But at the same time, cutting down the recipe means that I'm working with half a can of condensed milk, and I'm keeping condensed milk around and after it's opened. It's just not, I didn't think that was a great plan. So we may end up with too much ice cream here. And really, is there such a thing as too much ice cream? We're starting to get some thickness there. It's starting to hold its shape a little bit. That's definitely, it's not even soft peak, but it's close to soft peak. I want this essentially butter without separating. We want it really thick to counteract how thin this is. We've added a bunch of water to the party with our green beans, which, not the best scenario, but it's about the best I could do without, like, pureeing them separately and then straining them and boiling them down. I'm gonna try on a couple other fans in the house here. We get a little circulation without you guys hearing you lovely peoples without hearing as much. Okay. That's about where I want this. That's holding on to the whisk pretty well. Nice stiff whipped cream. So next I need to get my stuff out here for making said ice cream. I think is hidden up here, yes. That's not looking very clean. Thankfully, it's something that I can clean now. Especially on the inside here, wow. I got all sorts of stuff all over this. Last 2 minutes, get your units on the battlefield for Stream Raiders. Actually, let's run our 90-second ad while I'm cleaning this. This is the sort of protective ring. There's an outside insulated holder and an inside chilled container. And this, the ring that holds the two of them together, it was all covered with stuff from, I assume, from the last time I used it. Everything else looks clean. Let's dig that out. No! Stop falling. There's too much in my freezer. Okay. So we got our frozen container here. Line our arrows up. So I'm going to fold this mixture into this. I'm saying folding, but I'm going to use the whisk. So this is adding a bunch of water, but it's also adding all that fat from that condensed milk. And that's really the secret to this recipe. We're using condensed milk, which is high fat, and we're using whipped cream, which is high fat, as far as dairy is concerned. To create this somewhat already thickened, already volumized mixture that we then can churn. And once we get churning, I'll do our Stream Raiders battle, because it's going to take me a good 20 minutes or so here at least to get this all frozen in a manner that I can throw it on the freezer. Okay, Stream Raiders. Oh, we got this. No problem. Victory. Alan Bastard taking all those kills and assists. Head Mama Bear getting that 200 gold. Grats. One heck of a pot to win there. Move on to the next. I just forgot. This is the best area and right here if you're going to get in there. Usually if I put them down here, which I have been doing, the people that are putting their units up here are winning the battle.
So we have a look at that in 30 minutes, see how we do. So we got our ice cream base in our ice cream maker. Now I'm going to sit here and turn this here for the next 20-30 minutes. Probably until let's do until the next battle. I've actually found with these like chilled containers, it's actually okay to cheat a little bit at the beginning and allow it to cool down a little bit and then move it. But the major idea here is you don't want any major ice crystals forming. Those ice crystals are what ruin your beautiful texture of your ice cream. So how is everyone tonight? What are we having for dinner tonight, everyone? What's new? What's happening? What's new and exciting in your lives today that you'd like to share? Beverage time. Ooh, this hasn't been squeaking today a little too much. He's got a little one there, but... I don't know. At one point I was thinking of hitting this with some wax, but I was just as likely to wash that off every time I clean it anyways. Now it's deflated a little bit, you can tell that. We're working some of the air out of that whipped cream. But it's also, I think, starting to set up a little bit here, because we do have a definite wave going on there beyond the handle there. And it is pushing around. So, hopeful this is going to be a better version of ice cream here. It's been... To be honest, it's been a little while since I've had a decent ice cream out of this maker. That cherry and buttercream was about the best that I've done to date. Reminding myself that I didn't add the buttermilk into this. So I'm going to add that buttermilk powder in there now. Along with a tiny hit of salt. This is still going to get churned enough that I'm not too concerned with that not getting worked in. Again, this is just buttermilk powder, sort of like powdered milk, but with that buttermilk tang. Glad I remembered now. Another 5 minutes or so, and that would have been rough to mix in there. Nice head, Mama Bear. I've toyed with one of those in the past. I think at a museum that I used to go to all the time. As a kid. Those work well too. Ice and salt. Saves up your space in your freezer too, because you don't have to keep that giant container in there all the time. This container's probably going in the chest freezer after this. But also part of the reason everything's falling out of my freezer right now is the stock bags. Because the stock bags, I lay them on their side so that we get a nice full bag so that they're frozen like this. And I stack them on top of each other. And so the only thing keeping them in place is the plastic and whatever friction that gives. Normally my freezer isn't that much of a waterfall when I open it. Nice, Suki. Yeah, I've done all sorts of things with those bags. When I was saying before, I used them for my business in the past. And I would sell stock in them, I'd sell salsa in them, coleslaw, soups, all sorts of stuff. They were great for my business because I was in a mobile business. I was working out of that mobile trailer that I've talked about before. And yeah, the bags, when they're collapsed, they take up like no space. Whereas you get into cups or containers or anything like that, and you're storing multiple boxes and bad enough that I was keeping around coffee cups. Like, half of my storage area was dedicated to packaging in my truck, or my trailer. Starting to look a bit like ice cream. They're starting to tear a little bit there nicely, too. There we go, a little tearage. There's enough in here that I don't even know what direction I'm supposed to be turning. There's supposed to be a better and a worse way of turning this, but you're supposed to go a couple of turns that way and then go back the other way to work it. So it doesn't matter too much that I'm switching it up, but one of these directions I'm supposed to do a bit more than the other. Actually, I've used them for tomato sauce too. I sold tomato sauce here and there too. Certainly sold lots of tomato basil. Tomato basil was one of my best-selling soups. Even though it's probably one of the simplest soups you could do at home. It's just cook tomatoes down by like 50% and blend in a ton of basil. Starting to look almost like a loose ice cream base here. We're looking pretty good. I'm quite shocked at how well this is churning up for me tonight. I was worried that it was going to be a little too wet with that green bean moisture in there. Oh, that's weird. Little spot. The things you learn doing, looking at the camera at your own station. That was just some water on the counter, but it looked like it was a white, more cream or something on the counter. It was just water. Top collar isn't properly attached to this, but I'm just living with it. I think I'm going to reserve judgment on that. That wasn't enough to give an opinion. In flavor, it just tasted sweet for the most part. Thank you, Suki. $14 That's how long I'm churning this tonight. Another 14 minutes.
Yeah, ice cream. Making canned green bean ice cream with little buttermilk powder, condensed milk, and heavy cream. No eggs. And I've got another little over 10 minutes of churning this before it goes to the freezer. Going to serve it with Parmesan and bacon crumbles. So it's sort of going to be like a savory sweet dessert. Had a real tough time trying to figure out how to do green beans. Didn't really see any recipes out there for green beans in sweets. The only one that I came across after quite a bit of searching was one where some girl that was doing a blog had decided to buy a 10 can, or which, if you think the big coffee cans back in the day, it's a big standardized can that they use, because she wanted the can, and so she did a blog on how she used the beans up to get the can, and she turned some of them into cookies apparently. But that was the only thing that I found about as far as people using green beans for desserts. There's a whole bunch of mung bean desserts, which are sort of like the Chinese green bean, or if you ask for green beans from someone Chinese, they're going to give you mung bean, which they do a cold mung bean soup. It's sort of like a refreshing summertime thing. And they do all sorts of popsicles and ice cream as far as more popsicles. There's not a lot of dairy in Chinese or Asian cuisine. I don't remember if it's Chinese heritage or all Asian heritage, but roughly like a third of their population is lactose intolerant, genetically. So there's not a lot of dairy when it comes to Asian foods. They can do a lot more popsicles, a lot more. But this is not that. So there's probably tons of green bean ice cream recipes out there. There's certainly tons of green bean popsicle recipes out there. But those are mung bean. Yeah, that's the problem when you make good food. People want to steal it from you. Doing pretty good here. I could probably stop right now. I'm gonna give this another 2 minutes here, and then we'll see if we can't get this in the freezer for tonight. I'm doing this first tonight. Well, I did the chicken first, but I'm doing this first so that it has the most time to set up and be more ice cream-like by the time we're ready to make dessert. Nice. Cobbler's crisps. I'm all about those. Those are a good time. I think your typical pie, I think, has too much dough. Not trying to put down pie dough. Pie dough is a great thing, especially if you get a nice flaky crust. But I sort of feel like the top on a cobbler or the top on a crumble, it's sort of like that perfect mix, because you're after it for the fruit, the sweet interior. And so the crust is almost like your control, or your palate cleanser. Welcome, Raiders! How's everyone tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm Jason. I cook here on stream 3 nights a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Tonight is Wednesday, so I am doing Ingredient Challenge tonight. I hold weekly votes in my Discord, and this week viewers have voted in Discord for canned beans over matcha powder. So I am using green beans to make ice cream right now for dessert. So this is actually green bean ice cream that you're looking at right here. Working on churning that. We got another couple minutes here until I throw this in the freezer to finish setting up. Also got chicken thighs and legs in the immersion circulator back here. They're cooking at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Going to keep them cooking here for another hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. Shooting for a 2-hour dip in the bath. And then I'll sear those off in the pan afterward. You really sort of want to do 4 hours for chicken. You can do it in 1 hour without a problem. I'm doing 2 hours to make it a little bit better. When you get past 4 hours, anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, you've broken down most of that cartilage. You're going to have that perfect fall off the bone. This is going to have a little bit more steak or toughness to it. You're eating something. And so I'm going to sear those off, and there's already a sauce in the bag going with them. A little Worcestershire sauce, little butter, some tarragon, and a little apple cider vinegar. That'll turn into our pan sauce after I sear them off. Gonna serve that with a classical green bean casserole. And lastly, I'm gonna make some bacon and green bean hummus. So that's the plans for tonight. We can also always type dinner to find out what's going on in the room tonight. Welcome, Perkins Zone. Thank you for that raid. What were we streaming tonight? What were we doing? What's everyone coming to be hungry from? Nice. Doing some trucking. It's the American one with all the stuff in it. What do I want to throw this in for throwing in the freezer? Let's see if it fits in this. I think this might be too small. But there's no egg in that. That's just good old fat. Went with the quick and dirty method here for making ice cream. We're using a combination of hand whipped whipped cream and condensed milk. Gives you tons of fat for solidifying and thickening up your base, but it doesn't give you any of that eggy flavor. I need a better scoop than this. It's just too small. I think it will fit. Amazing. I also expected this to be greener too, but it's only. I mean, it's basically white, but there is a full can of green beans in this container. I pureed it and strained it, so we lost a little bit from straining. We lost a little bit of the stringiness, but that is green bean ice cream. No one on Twitch known what a hypermarket is? Let's give this a shot. I tried this sort of before, but it ended up just being sort of sweet. Yeah, there's not a ton of flavor in there from that. I almost want to call that a fail from... I mean, it's good. I think the green beans are giving it almost like spiced flavor to it.
$3 big support order coming your way.
Thank you for that sub, Perkins Zone. Welcome back to the brigade. So I'm going to throw this in the freezer now. See how this looks here in a little bit. Ideally, when I do homemade ice cream, I'll go back to that once or twice in the evening and give it a good stir. It's pretty much there already, so... But thank you, Perkins. We're going to let this warm up to room temp and clean this up tomorrow, because I don't want to use hot water on that inner container sleeve until it's roomed up to room temperature. So we'll sort of set this back here and forget it's here. Well, actually, let's move it off camera and forget that it's here. And battle time. So, unfortunately for our raiders, that does mean I'm going to run a 90-second ad here. And we'll do a little cleanup while we're waiting on that. You're going to have to fill in some blanks for that one. I'm familiar of Paw Patrol, but I know nothing about it. I only know that it exists. Oh, you have a little one around, or were you the right age for? I don't even know when it was around. Like, I don't know if it's already an outdated show or. if there's still Paw Patrol out there. Just about everything from like 2000 on is sort of a blur to me. That's when I started getting serious about culinary work, and I was either busy in some kitchen or busy study about working in some kitchen. And a lot of the music, movies, all that stuff sort of went by the wayside. Video games. Okay, can number 2 time. Actually, let's do the casserole first here, since that's going to be the quicker mix and go, and just throw it in the oven when we're ready. Two cans of green beans, strained. Let's use this one. That's not very clean. Got the mesh all nice and clean, but didn't clean the top. As I was saying before, these things are mush too. You can tell just by looking at them. They're not dark green, but they're definitely cooked. They're not going to look better if you give them more time in the oven, which we're planning to do. Ooh, there's that green bean smell. Not perfectly dry, but most of the way there. Next step in this, though, when I get to doing the hummus, I've canned garbanzo beans, cooked ones, so I'm going to strain these off too. Just to get ahead of the game for that project a little bit later here. Oh wow, look at all the water. All that. Oh, I forget what's the term for it. Vegans love this stuff. They use this for all sorts of stuff nowadays. I just throw it in the sink.
But it's good for if you're in the place of like egg whites. If you're going to use that in something baked, they'll hold that volume, I believe. No, in vegan cooking. Want to say it's like it's agua something. That's fine. You just stay right there. If you Google it, it's the canned garbanzo liquid or canned. Anyways, we're draining our chickpeas for later on so that I can use those to make hummus with our last can of green beans. Also read a study in this that if you wash your green beans, you're removing anywhere from 8 to some, I think it's like 8 to 15%, but you're removing a significant amount of your sodium that's listed on the can. But going back to our traditional green bean casserole here, add in a little cream of mushroom soup. Sort of wishing I had some of my own cream of mushroom. I make a damn good cream of mushroom soup. So we'll just mix these two together. Some people add cream, some people add milk. We'll see how we look right here. I'm not really keen to add a whole bunch more dairy into this. Got a strong garlic flavor coming off of that soup. Is that going to be able to be stuffed in one of those? I don't know that I can do that. Let's do a pie. Let's do a pie tin. Or pie glass. Oh, we didn't season this at all. This without question. This is smelling pretty garlicky. I'm going to trust that they got enough garlic in this soup. I'm going to add some onion powder. A dash of cayenne. More as a contrast than we're trying to make this hot. Some salt for our beans. Since they probably have enough salt, but a little MSG and black pepper.
Some of them are really hard, some of them are really easy, Perkins. But there are something like 1,600 words. They're half in there for the challenge for everyone. They're also half in there to help spurn a little conversation. I went and forgot about our Stream Raiders battle. Let's do our Stream Raiders battle. I ran the ad, but I didn't do the Stream Raiders battle. Hit Mama Bear getting those kills. McMargo in there with the assists. Hit Mama Bear with a couple of scrolls, just sweeping away all those rewards tonight. Congrats. Ooh, I get some goodies too. Sitting here wondering if I know McMargo. It's a close enough name to someone I went to college with. We go the top route or the bottom route? I think we're gonna go bottom route because I want to do the boss. Yeah. The boss from Tabletopia. There we go. And we'll do that one in 30 minutes. And for our topping, going to not be traditional with their topping. I'm going to instead use pretzel crisps. Or these thin pretzel crisps with everything seasoning, or bagel everything seasoning. If you guys are not, if everyone's not familiar with these. They're generally a pretty good time. That's maybe a bit heavy. Don't want them completely powder, but relatively small. I mean, if you compare this to the French onions the dried onions that they typically put on this casserole. You want a little crunch. You want them to have a little structure, but you don't want big pieces like that. Awesome. These give you all the good parts to a pretzel without that bread center to them. So that's why I like them. And I'm going to mix this with a little bit of... Oh, I don't have any of that. That's a shame. Or do I want to go cheddar? Parmesan or cheddar? Chat, what do you say? I have both in the kitchen right now. I was thinking of using the cheap green can Parmesan. I do have a ton of regular Parmesan right now, but that's because I bought a ton because it was on sale. Like, at a decent price for on sale. I actually think I'm going to go cheddar with this. The good stuff as far as most of the streamers that I know think this is the greatest cheese known to man or greatest dairy known to man. It's not. It's not bad. But Tillamook is not my favorite dairy. Do you like Tillamook cheese better than most of the local sources? We have some good sources for cheese, but people that are running it, there sounds like they're in all sorts of trouble with financial trouble with city and state, trying to run things cheap, especially right now when things are running thin. It's not a ton of cheese, but enough to give us a light coat with everything else. It's probably a good... What do we have? What's the size of this? It's probably a good solid 2 ounces. Maybe everyone will start putting cheddar in their green bean casserole now. Oh, come on, I popped you open. Resealed. These bags that I bought, what are these, Amazon brand? Yeah. I'm not liking Amazon brand stuff. Yeah, let's mix this in a bowl. And I'm going to wait to put this on top, because this is going to moisturize our topping. We want to put that on last minute before we throw it in the oven. But before we get going with that with the oven, we need bacon. So we're going to start the oven at 400 degrees here and get our bacon ready to go in. Grab one of your roasting sheet pans rather than one of your nice pristine sheet pans. This is Black Forest bacon, so it's a little bit darker in color. It's been in the fridge a minute too, but that isn't the reason that it's colored like it is. I occasionally do bacon on the stove. Oven's where it's at for bacon. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in there as it's warming up. We're going to give that... I normally give it 20 minutes. I'm going to give it 22 since it's heating up. So we got our green bean casserole ready to go with our cheddar and pretzel top for that. Now we're working on hummus time, I think. But before we get to that, I want the bacon ready for that. So we're going to wait on that. Instead, we're going to work on some of our crudité with our hummus. I got a green pepper. We got some carrots. Who knows what else we can come up with. We got pretzel crisps. All sorts of stuff you can throw with hummus. I don't really have any pita bread or anything along that line, but actually sort of tempted to throw the scraps of the green pepper in with the hummus. I think I'm going to do that. Blend that in with the garbanzos and green beans. Give it a little peppery kick to it. Maybe a good addition. Do you have to worry about adding water into hummus? One of the things that I dislike the most... I very rarely find commercial hummuses that I enjoy. Most of them use way too much water for me. And I may even find that these are too watery, having used canned garbanzos. But the flavor is just not there compared to most of the hummuses that I had. I grew up in a rather Arabic, Middle Eastern heavy area. And the hummus they would come up with obviously had a lot more oil in it, was obviously a lot thicker, tend to be a lot smoother too, compared to commercial hummuses that I found. And I just got done saying that I don't like many Whole Foods products. Whole Foods in-store hummus has to be my favorite of the... And I've tried a fair number of them. It used to be one of my go-to lazy snacks when I wasn't working my business. Just grab some French bread and some hummus, and that's dinner. Oh, we got smoke going. Had a little spillage off stream in the oven, and so it's I did a pretty good job of cleaning it out, but there's obviously some little bit still in there that I didn't get. So we'll toss this in with our hummus mixture, and these will do slightly wider than typical slices. Now this one's a little thin, we'll throw that in with the mix over here. This may be the only exception when it comes to me with raw green pepper, because I'm not a raw green pepper fan. But I'll eat just about anything with hummus, for some reason. just to get this out of the way, throw that in there. We'll throw our garbanzo beans in there. Smoke City coming out of that oven. It's like a column of smoke. We can smoke our bacon while we're cooking it. So there's the start of our hummus. Also going to need to strain a can of green beans in there. So we'll pull a liquid off of another can of beans. Our final can of beans for tonight, actually. And there we go with that. Pull these off to this side. We're going to add a decent amount of olive oil into here as well. And last thing we'll be adding is bacon once that's done smoking. I'm going to turn the fan on here a little bit higher too. Oh wait, I got tahini in the house. Let's throw some tahini in here. Which is traditional, you should, but... tahini being essentially sesame paste. It's like peanut butter, but it's with sesames instead of peanuts. Carrot sticks. Bags underneath. Okay, random poll time. How do you eat your strawberries? Okay, 90-second ad. No votes for the poll. That hurts. Ooh, sweet card. Looking almost there right now. I was tempted to pull that bacon out right now. It's got another 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. We've done our 1.5 minute ad. How's our Stream Raiders looking? We ready to do Stream Raiders here? 36 seconds. Cheers. The archers just... there we go. At least we took that out. That was just pegging everyone while we were fighting other things. That's one thing that I wish this game got a little bit better. Could be their next step in things, is the AI actually realizing that we don't all have to pile on one mob. You got 30 people on fighting for you. You can go after multiple things. Victory. Fang Mermaid getting those kills. Cats of Oz getting those assists. And Fang Mermaid getting that free squirrel. Congrats. One more before the boss. I'm going to start in the corner here. As is usual, we want to get to these little notes for any of the other NPCs, get to them, because it's going to give us, I think this gives us 10 extra, or 5 extra. So whoever gets to these, level 5, level 10, this gives you 3. This gives you 10. Okay, so whoever gets to this first gets 10 extra people fighting for them. 5 extra people. Whoever gets to this first gets 3. Whoever gets to this gets 10. So if the enemy beats us to any of those, they're going to get a bunch of mobs to help fight with them. So we want to beat them so we get those extra fighters for us. Alright. So we'll see how we do there in 30 minutes. Let's check my army and stuff while we're here. Obviously got one upgrade at least. Quests, I didn't even pay attention to... I haven't been paying attention to quests lately. I'm not going to drop flying rogues. I don't know, maybe you guys have a different opinion about the flying rogues in this game. To me, it seems like flying rogues are really only there when you've got all your main characters on the field, and you can place one there that goes over obstacles. It's like the only reason that I think of putting one on there, because they're slow compared to the regular rogue. Check the store real quick, see if we can't get any scrolls here. Not going to bother with any of those. We'll go back to this and see how we do in 27 minutes. Meanwhile, we are waiting on bacon, because we need bacon fat and some bacon for in this. Gonna do the bacon fat in here and a little bit of that. Little bit of bacon. It's mostly going to be the bacon fat giving us flavor in our hummus. roasty, toasty, crispy bacon. Roasty, toasty, crispy bacon. Quick pull the bacon off onto some paper towel. Pour the excess bacon fat. Bacon fat. Pour that in here with all this. Not all of it, but that was a solid 2 tablespoons. Got all that bacon flavor in there. And we might as well add a single strip of this stuff. Give that a bit of a pre-chop so that it gets mixed in a little bit better. What did I do with my top? There's my top. Lost my top. And I'm gonna give you guys I'm gonna give everyone out there a mute so that I can do the blender without everyone hearing it. Gonna add a little garlic powder. A little onion powder. White pepper. Salt and MSG. And back to blending. We want smooth hummus. So I'm gonna keep blending this a little bit. Could stop here. As you can see, there's a decent amount of grit still going on there. We don't want that grit. We want smooth. Back to blending. Okay, let's see what we get with that. It still seems a little chunky to me, maybe, but I'll live with it homemade. Sort of want a larger bowl than that. And there is some green color to that if you can't see that quite. There is some greenage there. So we're not... You can maybe actually tell that this was filled with green beans at one point. Still relatively nice and thick though, so that's good. How hummus should be. Even with all that blending, it's obvious not everything got pureed in there. There we go. There's our green bean hummus. Give that a shot right now. See where we're at. See if we need more salt. Definitely need some chill time. That's not too bad. I can handle that. That's a good time. I'm happy with that, actually. Definitely needs to cool and sit down a bit. So we'll get that in the fridge. Oops. Got some on the cutting board. Oopsie. But yeah, this is pretty good. Green beans there in the background. Bacon is really weak. You could really up the bacon in this. I suspect some of the bacon didn't blend well since I didn't blend it first and then add everything else in it. The blenders have a tendency to kick things around that are harder than what you're blending with them. So you sort of stick with the hardest thing to blend first and then add other stuff in there. Instead of what I did here, which is just throw it all in there and go. Which didn't work out too bad, but like I said, I think you will benefit by blending that bacon up a bit more before you add the other stuff in there. Alright. So we're getting down to chicken time here. Let's clean up our bacon pan. Let's get our green bean casserole in the stove, or in the oven. Oh, that's what I should have done. I should have used my medium cast iron pan for this. Got the hiccups. That would have been great for this. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good hummus. And I would know, because I've tried tons of hummus. It's got nice savoriness to it. The primary flavor is still the garbanzo bean, but you can definitely tell that there's green beans in there. You almost can't tell that the bacon's in there. And hopefully once this is in the fridge for a good 30 minutes or so, we'll have a lovely hummus. We got our oven at 400 still from bacon. I'm going to turn that down to about 325. Let's add our topping. And let's put this on a pan since I haven't had the greatest history lately with keeping my oven clean. We'll just cheat and reuse this same bacon pan covered in oil and throw this on top. You're going to give that a good 30 minutes here. So there's our veggies and crisps are with our hummus. That's looking like ice cream. I'm mostly going to scrape the sides here. The center is still slightly soft. It's much more malleable than the exterior sides here. I think this has turned out lovely for an untested, unproven recipe. Let's see how it works. I mean, completely random recipe. I haven't tried mixing much with the no egg type ice cream mixture or base. That worked out pretty well. I don't know if it's the hummus bringing out the green bean in the hummus, or there's green bean there too. Yeah, I think that's going to disappear. I think I'm going to eat that. That's tasty for green bean. Cooked, overcooked canned green bean. Battle is ready. 90-second ad time. So we got 25 minutes left on our veggies. Should get my pan ready to go ahead and sear this chicken off right after we're done. I'm just going to go straight from immersion circulator to the pan because I'm ready to go. It's all ready to eat. Majority of the time when you're doing this and you want to do a reverse sear, what you do is you pull this chicken off, you give it an ice bath, you throw it in the fridge, make sure that it gets down to a decent low temp, and then you go ahead, pull it back out, you remove the sauce that's in the bag, whatever juices that the chicken gave up, it gels up, and so you can just sort of wipe it off with your hand, sort of a thing. Maybe paper towel the outside dry if you want to go to extremes. Does help out with your searing in the pan. Make sure and get it really nice and dry. And then you sear it. And you're sort of searing it to bring it up to temp, to serving temp. I'm just going to sear it and go. Which is not the way I recommend if you're doing this for a nice dinner you're cooking for someone. Plan the extra time to cool that down, get it to a nice cool temp, so that when you're searing it, you're not searing hot chicken with the hot pan. That temperature difference helps. Oh, that was ice cream and not hummus. I was surprised. So let's get some... we got a decent amount of butter and oil in that marinade already, so I'm not going to worry too much about having a ton of oil in the pan, but a little bit in the bottom. But otherwise, we're sort of waiting here right now. We got our chicken that's not quite ready to come out of the immersion circulator. And we got our green bean still going for another 20 minutes. Let's do our Stream Raiders battle. Nice, getting all of those helpers from those bonuses. Victory. Oh, we lost most everyone too. That was a close one. Head Mama Bear getting 50 gold. She is just racking up the gold tonight. Cats of Eyes with the scroll. Congrats. And on to the boss. Probably our last map of the evening. I'm gonna put my warrior over here, or my tank over here. I don't know what we got going after this. Rogues are gonna go after the queen. And yeah. Hope you join in. We'll do that battle in 30 minutes. Hey, Trigger. Welcome in. So you've been lurking around. Hopefully you're having a good time. Working on green beans tonight. break up our dark and crispy bacon. I'm munching on the burnt bits over here. Nice. Oh, we got green bean hummus that's in the fridge, sort of cooling down, hanging out, hopefully setting up a little bit. Hopefully those beans got a little bit more moisture that they can pull out of the world. We got ice cream in the freezer that's setting up. We got our bacon crumble for with our ice cream. We got crudité for with our hummus that I previously said is finishing its job in the fridge. Got that traditional style green bean and cream and mushroom casserole, but I topped that with pretzel crisps and cheddar instead of your traditional fried onions. And lastly, we got some chicken thighs that have been in the immersion circulator for much of the day. And hopefully we'll get a good sear on those here shortly. And use the rest of the goodness in the pan to make ourselves a pan sauce. It's going to be a rather light pan sauce considering we don't have a ton of liquid in those bags with the chicken, or bag with the chicken. But I put some butter and some vinegar and Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And there's some buttermilk powder in that ice cream mixture too. I almost forgot to add it. I put it in towards the end. Bacon. Are we there yet? Get another. We're gonna wait another 7 minutes here. While we allow that chicken to cook a little bit further. But really we're waiting on, well, we're half waiting on the chicken because the chicken is going to be better with more time. As I was saying earlier, I'm doing about 2 hours on this chicken. Yeah, about 2 hours on this chicken. And you can go 4 hours and get that fall off that bone, completely cooked chicken temp. We're going to have a little bit more texture to ours tonight. Most of the places I was reading was saying 4 to 8 hours on immersion circulator. That's sort of like right in that same sweet spot for making a chicken stock. You want your chicken stock to be somewhere around like 6 to 8 hours of cook time. I don't know why that's in my... view there. I have. I haven't done a ton of chicken in an immersion circulator
Mostly because I'm not keen with running it as hot as this is. I'm running this at 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right up there with that. As I've told before, 170, you worry about dioxins from plastics leaching into your water. We're right there, and this is a giant plastic container. But it's staying steady at that temp, so... There's some people that just are completely against sous vide immersion circulators, and so you get a lot of that commentary out of that camp. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. You're cooking it, and it's going to be the same if you did 165 perfectly here, or do 165 straight in water. But you don't really want to go lower temp when it comes to chicken. When you're dealing with other stuff, I'm all about it. I've used it a lot more for things like beef short ribs and long and low and slow things. Like, I've done beef short ribs in there for 48 hours, and they come out amazing. A lot of the times, I don't think it's really worth it. Like, the amount of time that you're cooking it for this versus just putting them in a pan for a quick sear. When it comes to chicken, I'm a little bit more, just put it in the pan and move on with your life. But I was doing some other stuff, and I could set it up and let it hang out in there, and so I went with that for tonight. Certainly recommend it for, and there's some other things that I've even done here on stream that immersion circulators are amazing for, like making hollandaise. Yeah, I mean, you just cook it and you can blend it. You don't have to worry. It came out looking a little broken on my photos, but trust me, that was not broken. You could. It was just a matter of me mixing it properly well enough. Mashed potatoes and that's another thing that I would just boil the potatoes. Now, if you wanted to do like some perfectly cooked, baby potatoes, yeah, throw those in there. But immersion circulators, I'd have to say beef, lamb, goat, pretty much regardless of the cut. Most pork cuts, other than like a loin chop or something like that, where you can just give it a nice sear and move on. And I would say just about all the chicken, I would normally just skip the immersion circulator. If you want to go for that, on the other hand, if you want that like fall apart chicken, I can see doing this for 4 hours, sort of like a slow cooker setup. You just put it in there and do other stuff with your life and come back to it, instead of having to worry about, is the oven at the right temp, and coming back and checking every 10 minutes if it's getting too hot on top, or pull it out and give it a stir and put it back in. That's certainly a plus to that. If you're doing anything that can go in a bag, I think is probably going to be better cooked by immersion circulator than it will on the stove. Whether it's worth the time of putting it in a bag and doing it over a longer cook time, that's sort of up to you. I don't know that I necessarily agree with any of the mentality that the plastic is giving it flavor or anything along that, especially if you're using proper plastics. If you're using vacuum seal bags that are designed to handle heat, which most are these days, I don't know that there's really a difference. Sort of like I was looking at an article. Actually, I think it was the recipe for this chicken, where they showed
searing it in a cast iron pan versus a non-stick pan afterward, and I'm like, what's the difference?
And they showed them side by side like there was going to be a major difference between the two, and the nonstick looked a little bit better, but that could have been entirely a case of the person cooking it. Yeah, it's certainly for me, I certainly don't use it a ton, but I do pull it out there for those longer term cuts that, like, shanks are great in this. I typically throw them in the oven because I'm usually braising them. But if you just want to cook shank meat and just have some, probably the most flavorful meat that you can have off of an animal, the problem is it's all full of connective tissue, so you got to cook it forever. What I typically do is I do like a braise, and so it's sitting in liquid, so it doesn't matter too much, and then give it 2+ hours in the oven. Doing it in there, you can just throw it in there. You could leave it in there 12, 24 hours and cook it right at that perfect temperature that the collagen's going to break down, and have hugely flavorful meat with not having to sit there and worry about the oven being on over time. And hollandaises, beurre blancs, all that stuff is great in here as far as sauces. Okay, gonna turn the pan on for cooking our chicken now. Allow that to start heating up. But like that hollandaise that I made last, the picture on it does look like it's a little bit broke, but it wasn't. Like, and it will like literally hold its emulsion as it chills. And so you throw it in the fridge. Typically you can't. Typically it breaks. Typically you gotta hold it at this temperature slightly above room temperature. Same thing with beurre blancs. But since it's entirely stabilized, it actually holds. I don't know. I don't want to say every time, but in my experience, on more than one occasion, it has held its emulsion after chilling. More likely, yeah, that's best way to put it, I think. You still can't really see the cans, but maybe if you're looking at full screen, you can read them, tell what they are. I'm not 100% sure what I did with it. I probably microwaved it. Which it won't. That certainly won't help. If you're using microwave or high heat, you're probably going to break it in most cases reheating it. Probably going to break it reheating it. Unless you throw it back in the immersion circulator. Throw it in the immersion circulator and bring it up the temp slowly. Because the major thing is you're usually getting that butter too hot when you got that direct heat on the pan. Whatever is directly touching the bottom of that pan, that butter is going to start to break, and that continues the process. Once it breaks, it's sort of broken, sort of a thing. Yeah, it's sort of like a really thick mayo. It's when it chills, it's mostly butter, and so it mostly turns hard like butter almost. But depending on what else you got in there and the percentages, it might be a little malleable still.
Okay, pan's heating up. I think it's time to shut our immersion circulator off. See what we got here. Did put those bands on there loosely just to keep them basically in place. That's looking good to me. I'm going to pull that Tarragon out. Should be just one piece, and lost a couple leaves. And so I'm going to go, I'm going to dry this off too a little bit. Maybe we got more of a sauce here than I thought. I'm gonna get that sauce reducing immediately. Larger pan, larger base. Ah, fuck. There goes half of my sauce for the night. No bueno. I don't have any more stock in the fridge. Pan heat back up so it's nice and smoking again. We're pretty close there anyways. Pull our chicken over to close to the pan. Hey, Mando. Welcome in. I am doing quite well. We're just about get going with searing some chicken here. We're doing green beans as a challenge ingredient tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pull these bands off of here now. These are the, as I was saying before, these are silicone. These are not typical rubber bands. And I put them on there rather loosely to begin with, just to sort of try and hold those deboned thighs. The leg bones still have their legs in them, but the thigh bone is out. And so that way it holds it a little bit together. Gotta be careful holding these because that meat up there at the drumstick that I want to hold it by is falling apart. Which is a good thing, but it's a good thing other than for looks. chicken. So our casserole is looking pretty in there. We're going to leave that in there just to stay warm. I turned the oven off. So this chicken's already cooked all the way through using that immersion circulator over here. We're just searing it off to get some nice color on the outside for serving. And I'm continuing to just tear those legs up. I added a little water over here, but basically thickening this up into a pourable sauce for our two chicken breasts. I lost like half of it to the floor, unfortunately, but this was butter, chicken juices, apple cider vinegar, and a little mustard. Oh, come on. Stand up. That works for me too. Let's take a look at that green bean casserole. That classical one that everyone knows. I think that's looking quite lovely. I need to get that off of there though. So let's do that, and do this. You know, I don't know if I've tried it either. Green beans, in this case canned green beans, since we're doing canned green beans, is a challenge ingredient. And I topped it, mixed with cream of mushroom. Traditional recipe has a little more dairy in there, whether it's a little added milk, a little added cream. I didn't do that. I just did the green beans and the cream of mushroom. I seasoned that up a little bit, and then I coated it with
pretzel crisps with everything seasoning, so you get that bagel everything seasoning on the top, and the cheddar is cheddar. The burnt cheese in there, it's not burnt, but the solid pieces of cheese in there. Yeah, I'm trying a cream of mushroom that I've never even had before. Haven't had these beans before either. So, all new to me. But yeah, I do a pretty killer cream of mushroom, and I would not be doing Campbell's over that. I'm just sort of trying to move the pieces of chicken around, try and get a good color on all of it. That's the other problem here with immersion circulators. We have nice, properly cooked chicken. Do we put it in the pan too long to get color and overcook the outsides? Or just, that's why I was recommending, if you're doing this at home and you don't want to save the time, just give it a proper cool down after you do the immersion circulator. And then you can put it into the pan cold, and you're just really reheating the interior meat. I'm about ready to call that one. Yeah, I think I'm going to call that one done. Wish I had a one of those. Oh, what the heck is the name of it? That torch item that they designed. Booker and Dax had on their website for ages. That allows you to get a decent sear without like getting a pointed flame off of your torch. Okay, I'm going to call that one done too. Let's add what's left of our sauce over here into this pan over here and get this some color out of that, the flavor off the bottom of the pan. And a touch more water into that. That was too much.
Wishing I had a couple of ice cubes made of chicken stock right now. That's perfect for this job. But I didn't freeze anything like that. Okay. So I'm going to pull the chicken off here. I'm going to take a picture of the green bean casserole as is with the top. All nice and purty. Clean bowl, I do not. What am I using all my bowls for right now? Using that one for that, but guess we'll go with the plate. Not my best looking plate here. Clean, it's not good looking. These plates have seen better days at this point. I've complained about this before on stream. I really need to go out and get some more plates to use for taking photos and stuff like that. And I've just been waiting until I can go out to like garage sales and stuff like that. Antiques. Probably going to be in... I don't even want to think how long it's going to be before I get a chance to have a vaccine. We'll start with some of our green bean casserole for making our plate. It's really the only other thing on the plate here, so I probably should have put that closer to the center. Tastes pretty good. I'm okay with that. Hummus time. We have our green bean hummus. Looks a little greener on... that's about right. Nice, thick, and smooth. Photo time yet again. And let's make some dessert. I'm happy with that hummus. I think that hummus is going to disappear. Let's do our battle while we're waiting on ice cream here. No ad since we're wrapping up here. Cutting it close here. We're all dead. Oh, we don't get to win if we get allies. Our allies were still in force there. We could have won that. No. So I guess we're starting with that for our next stream. Let's make some ice cream. Ice cream. Green bean ice cream. I'm sure I have said green pea instead of green bean like a gazillion times tonight. But in either case, I think this is going to be rather delicious and much more delicious than you guys, you lovely people out there, probably believe. But since it's green bean ice cream, helps if I put the right lid on the ice cream. Just put the hummus lid on the ice cream. Worry about that later. We have bacon crisp to add on there. And Parmesan. Since this is like a savory dessert of my own creation here. So what does everyone think? Did I successfully use green beans tonight? Did I satisfies everyone's quandaries if I could make a dessert out of green beans. Let's give this a proper try right on stream so that everyone knows that I'm okay with trying this out. It's just good. I try a bit more Parmesan in there with it, but the green beans basically like disappear. It's almost like that spinach cake I made a couple of weeks ago for that spinach challenge. It's almost like it's not there. And I put a whole can of beans in this. And there's a whole can of beans in this. It's just good. Sweetens up the bacon like candied bacon. I'm happy with that. I didn't put any pan sauce on my chicken. Don't really need it for the photo anyways. I'll do that here so everyone on stream can see that delicious pan sauce. So awesome. Let's see who we can give a raid to tonight. See who we can go say hello to. Bacon. Alright. Well, they're not doing what I thought they were doing. I think this is probably a good choice. I once sent you off to hang out with him once before. He puts on a lovely stream that I greatly enjoy. Even though it's relatively chill, it's just him working. Awesome. So we're gonna go hang out with B-Boy Persia, making some glass work. I'm gonna go and enjoy this deliciousness. I think everything turned out great today, other than I'm iffy on the new mushroom soup and the green beans because I haven't tried them as a combo. But I think this topping would be amazing for it if you got your typical French's. I'll be back here on Friday. Gonna be doing baked scallops. Gonna be doing shrimp fried rice. Should be a fun night. And hope to see you then. I hope you have a great night. We're gonna start I'm gonna start the next vote after the stream here. I normally do it during stream here, but I'm not gonna try and rush and do it while we got the raid timing down. I think it's probably gonna be between, unless anyone's gone in there and voted, it's probably gonna be between LaCroix,
however you pronounce it, the flavored sparkling water, versus corn dogs. So that's probably going to be the next vote. I'll go ahead and ping you guys in Discord after that. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you have a great evening, and goodbye.